All right, everyone. Welcome back to Group Chat, the number one podcast in the world. Anand and I here holding it down, gearing it all up for the big weekend ahead. But first, we got to get into some news. And we're going to start with the Gap. Somebody must have heard what I have said because the volume on the Gap stock today was bananas. Then we're going to dive into all things news, CNN Plus, and obviously probably the biggest date of the year. The biggest double date ever happened this week in LA in West Hollywood, and we have to talk about it.
Interesting restaurant choice. We'll talk about it.
Interesting restaurant choice, exactly. That and so much more. Let's go.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, everyone, we are back with another episode of Group Chat. And, I make a lot of bold predictions on this show. I'm out here predicting the future. And one of my predictions, I think I might have manifested. The rumor mill started today that an activist investor may be revealing their stake in Gap today. And guess what? The stock popped. It was as high as like 15, 16%. Now it's up 8 or 9%. The market hasn't closed today on Wednesday, but it has traded over 30 million in shares. On average, it is about 10 million shares a day. So it's like triple the activity. And now, analysts are coming out and saying, hey, Gap might be worth more if we break it up. No shit. That's what I've been saying. And I feel like someone's listening to the podcast. Someone at Wells Fargo came out and said the sum of the parts valuation is worth double where it's currently trading at $28 a share. So the easy thing that they said is Athleta might be worth more than the whole damn company itself. So if you start breaking it up, obviously the company's worth a lot more. It's just amazing timing that 2-3 weeks ago I said it, and now it's all happening.
What initially made you say it? I forget. What made you say, hey, the Gap's worth way more, someone's going to come in and disrupt it? Was it purely on Kanye?
No, so I have like a basket of retail companies I've been following for 10 years. Just curious to see how they're doing. Obviously that's the industry we're in, so I pay attention to it. And if you look at like companies like Macy's and Dillard's, which I would argue are substantially harder businesses because they're multi-brand, have all rebounded. Like Macy's stock has even rebounded. It's still, I would probably argue, undervalued given how big that business is, but put that aside. But Macy's stock has bounced off its lows, well off its lows. Dillard's is doing really well again in terms of the company and the stock performance. And a lot of retailers have regained traction since COVID. Mm-hmm. I understand Gap has underperformed. There's no doubt in my mind. And there's so many weaknesses in that business. But their last earnings report was actually really, really positive, showing demand coming back, continuing to pay their dividend. And so I just looked at the business and I was like, man, this business feels like it's just right for someone to come in and fix the problems. I know the Fisher family who, star the Gap still have a mega stake in the business. So I don't think an activist investor situation is as easy as as people say. But dude, at the end of the day, it's about money. So if you can find value in spinning things off, put pressure on the family to at least spin off one of the brands, it should bring a lot of value to shareholders.
Yeah, I mean, activist investors, it doesn't matter how much Fisher owns. If someone's willing to pay a premium to the current share price, there's going to be enough shareholders that are willing to sell. And then they just become a thorn in the CEO's side. Like, hey, change this, do this, focus on digital, shut your shitty stores down. So clearly there's an active investor involved. It's not revealed who it is. And you got to suspect it's, one of the usuals, Elliott Management, or, could be Ackman, could be like any of these guys that
Sycamore.
come.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be any of these guys that come on to basically be a pain in the ass to the CEO to make changes because they think there's value to be unlocked, and it's going to be interesting. It's really, I don't know, like the gap. If Athleta, what would you compare Athleta to?
Lululemon.
It's that price point.
Not that price point, but it's the same, fixing that same soft product.
So you have Aloe, which is on fire.
Aloe and Lulu are the premium, higher price point, active wear kind of bellwethers.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Not everyone on earth can afford Lulu and Aloe, so there has to be other alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically what Sycamore, one of my best friends, did with Hot Topic. They bought Hot Topic, separated Hot Topic from Torrid, and they took Torrid public and unlocked a lot of value.
Yeah, and I just think if you look at this business and you start really isolating each of these businesses and the fact that they have Kanye still, like, I'm sorry, a Kanye apparel business, if it was to go out into the market today, it would raise at a multi-billion-dollar valuation.
I think the move is, we'll talk about them later. If Kanye and Pete Davidson reconcile and put out a line at the Gap, I think it becomes the biggest collection.
I mean, he doesn't need Pete Davidson for clothes.
No, but he needs to repair his image a little bit.
That's what we always say, and then it doesn't matter.
Sure, but
I mean, I was very critical of Kanye all these years, and I was like, man, this is really hard to recover from. It just doesn't matter when it comes to Kanye. I mean, what's so funny is that all these there's all this public kind of pressure on companies that work with Kanye. So there was a lot of pressure on Coachella to not let Kanye perform. There was a lot of pressure on Gap and Kanye not to work together. Did everyone forget that Kanye and Adidas work together? There's no pressure on Adidas. Like, no one says a word.
Yeah, he's driving so much profit and top line that they don't care.
Yeah, well, I know, but like the customers aren't, or like the consumer is not calling for Kanye to break up with this partnership with Adidas. Maybe that the average person does not know that Yeezy is made by Adidas. They just have no idea. Is that what it is?
Well, I think they don't care as long as it's Kanye we're buying. It's similar to like you have every woke person, anti-China, but then they go buy Nike. Yeah. They go, watch Disney movies that are edited in China for homosexual references because China doesn't want that.
Yeah.
And no one complains about that because they want their Disney movie for their kids.
What's interesting is I got DM'd by like hundreds of our listeners on Business of Fashion talked about Shein recently. And obviously the market cap, we talked about how they raised money. They're in the process of raising money at $100 billion valuation.
Yep.
And it talked about the newness that they offer and then obviously sustainability issues. It's like, I've been talking about Shein for years on this podcast on what I think are a lot of implications for American retailers, American e-commerce brands. And it's really always interesting, where the consumer or chatter on the internet draws the line, right? Like as long as the consumer enjoys it, they won't draw the line.
Of course.
I don't think anyone publicly is going after Shein from a consumer standpoint. Who is sitting there complaining about it? Nobody.
But what would they complain, just because it's Chinese owned?
Yeah, or sustainability issues, or understanding the fact that they don't have to pay duties on any of their garments. Any of those nuances to their business that obviously have a profound impact on American companies and American jobs. But like everyone's calling, Gap to boycott Kanye.
Yeah, no,
that's
it's
not even
silly.
on the same planet.
I mean,
of
it's
what-
silly. I mean, it's similar to TikTok. I think it's just the three of us and Mark Zuckerberg that care that TikTok has taken over the entire country's data system, and no one gives a shit because they enjoy the product.
Exactly.
It's fun.
So that's my point. As long as the consumer enjoys the product, you really can't do any wrong. Certain brands, the rules don't apply to. Like Nike cannot be brought down. Does
No.
not fucking matter.
I think it's Nike, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Kanye,
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Those are like your tier one where they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. Donald Trump.
Sure.
I mean, I don't think he's unpopular. He's more popular than ever.
Probably Logan and Jake Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been going at the UFC, going at Dana White, and it hasn't affected their business whatsoever.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, I think it's really interesting just watching this human psychology of things that they want to attack. Like if you look at like the polarization of Disney at the moment.
Yep.
With conservative families saying they're boycotting Disney because of the Don't Say Gay bill opposition, woke people saying that they're not doing enough for the LGBTQ community. Like Disney's in between a rock and a hard place from a PR standpoint. And I think they'll ultimately lean more liberal on The View because they probably have a good understanding of who their consumer is and how they view the world. I could be wrong, but that's my view on it. But, you know, Disney, when I think about them as a company compared to TikTok, who is not vilified at all, is insane.
But
Disney's done. Go ahead.
No, don't you think it's also a function of social media and the news isn't reflected of what the country cares about? Like how many people are Republican, conservative, Democrat, liberal are going home this evening at 6 p.m. and saying, I'm not playing Frozen because of what the controversy is, regardless of what side you're on? Zero?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe one family is. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone gives a shit. I think that's the problem. Like the outrage is such a small minority. And I'm saying from both sides. I'm not picking on Democrats or Republicans. The outrage is on both sides, but I don't think the average consumer cares.
No, I think generally speaking, and this is what goes down with everything from when you talk about issues of child labor, sustainability, what the brand or the company stands for. Those are all nice to haves, but they clearly don't impact the consumer's decision because of the way you're seeing behavior. Because I always read all these, I mentioned this 100 times in this podcast about how Gen Z cares about, are doing good, but their consumption does not reflect that. They just don't.
I agree with that. I think it's just fun to get clicks on the internet via Substack, via New York Times, via Washington Post, Twitter, Instagram. But the average person isn't changing their behavior because of these controversies.
Yeah.
Like who do you like if you say Disney, that's ESPN. So I have to stop watching sports if I'm outraged?
Yeah. You can't watch sports. You can't watch Monday Night Football.
I can't watch the NBA. The playoffs are starting. I'm out.
Well, NBA I think is a lot easier for conservative people to just give up. But Monday Night Football, no one's giving up.
No one's giving up Monday Night Football. All the people that are
college bulls, not giving up.
Yeah, no. It doesn't matter. And if your kid's crying in the car and you're trying to get them calm, the bill's going to affect what video that your kid likes. What's the hot? Encanto? Isn't Encanto the hot shit right now?
Yeah.
Is that Disney?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to play Encanto because you're so outraged over this bill?
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, I don't believe that I just would like to start seeing brands like Disney put a fucking stake in the ground and say, we don't give a shit what you think.
That's
we know our
basically
shit's...
The NFL did that.
Yeah.
The NFL said, we don't care what your politics are. We're not keeping it in the sport, and ratings are higher than ever.
I know, but I'm talking about, but that's different. That's controlling your organization. So Disney has two things to control: their organization. And they're so big, and they probably have a way more diverse workforce than the NFL.
Okay.
Okay, like beliefs and gender and just that kind of diversity is probably more prevalent at Disney, and it's way bigger than the quantum of employees Disney has. They have to control their internal workforce, which is going to be really fucking hard. And then you have to control the outside narrative of your company. That is like the challenge that the Disney is facing. Like, how do you do that? Like, do you go public facing and saying, look, we don't support this bill, and if you don't like our shit, don't watch it. Mm-hmm. And then internally, do they go to the team and say, look, we've always had our beliefs, what we think are the right things to do in society. We will do it when we feel comfortable, but you as a staff will not dictate our political views as a company, because unless it's like, the thing is like, it could be someone that's been in the company for 6 months that's making all the noise, and it's not someone who's been there for 40 years that may be of the LGBTQ community and feels like Disney is doing their part. But someone maybe who's been there 6 months might be like, fuck this is not enough. And I think the challenge will be for companies going forward. For-profit companies at the end of the day are only really, like responsible for bringing profits into their shareholders. But now you're responsible to your employees' political beliefs, and that will be a really tough time for a lot of people.
Yeah. So in technology, a handful of CEOs have come out and say, politics stay at home. We don't have them. Brian Armstrong was the first one at Coinbase who did it. And he got a lot of flack for it. And he's hired, thousands of people since. And the people that left was a small minority. Toby from Shopify, the CEO and founder of Shopify, said the same thing. Like, we're never going to please everyone if we discuss politics at the office. Everyone has different beliefs. And that's going to be divisive and not mission focused. Like, Coinbase is...
those are also newer companies, so I think it's a lot easier. They're all like 10-year-old companies, right? You're talking Disney is 100 years old. Like,
but don't you think every corporation, because the Disney bill is split, right? You have Democrats and liberals who support the bill, are anti the bill, and conservatives are for the bill. And within an organization like Disney that have, I don't know, how many employees do they have? 100,000 employees? Something like
more.
Yeah, who knows? But like the how are you going to please them?
Yeah. It's a beginning, and I think they have 203,000 employees.
That includes like everything from retail to parks to cruises to corporate.
Yeah.
So then they have to decide who are they pleasing? Are you pleasing corporate? Because corporate's going to have different beliefs than, someone who's on a cruise ship.
Yeah. And that's the problem, is that like there's also companies that are very cause driven. So their whole ethos is based around a cause, like a Patagonia, like who is very much, they have a belief system, and their whole company abides by that belief system and what it stands for. I don't know. I think it's really, really tough, because I feel for like the Disney management. This is a tough one.
Yeah, of course.
It's easy just to say, go against the bill, but then it's easy, or you could say support whatever it is, and it's just.
I think it's easy as citizens like us that aren't in a company, that aren't trying to rabble rouse, to be able to say like, hey, the bill doesn't make any sense. Like, I can say that pretty confidently because I do believe that. I do.
Yeah.
I have no problem with saying gay in school. Like, I think it's silly in 2022.
Yeah.
But to be within a company where you're, like you said, your job is to maximize profits, and you work for the shareholders. Yeah. You don't work for a political belief.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll just be an interesting challenge for founders and CEOs on how they handle this situation going forward, because this is just the beginning. People's voices are not getting quieter; they're getting louder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be learning how you deal with that. We have a little message from our good friends over at Leisure Town. If you haven't tried their CBD seltzers, they are absolutely delicious. They're an incredible product and a great alternative to drinking alcohol. And an easy way to pick them up is at leisuretowns.io. And if you listen to the pod, you heard when they were on, they came up with a very clever way to actually purchase their product. You actually just purchase a one of one license to chill NFT, and that gets you a 12 pack of hemp infused seltzers, 25% off Leisure Town merch, whitelist on future NFT drops, access to all the Leisure Town branded events, exclusive access to private concerts, and all other cool giveaways and tastings they are doing. Only 99 bucks. You can pay with a credit card and get your 12 pack at leisuretowns.io. And more importantly, of course, a discount code group chat 25. You get 25% off your purchase. Love the taste of this product. We have them in the studio. I have them at home. Drink them all the time on days I just want to unwind calmly. And back into the episode. Let's move on. This is actually not a surprise. CNN Plus, which is a streaming service for CNN, it has been revealed that they're drawing fewer than 10,000 daily users. This is not a surprise. One, it's $5.99 a month, $59 annually. The real thing is, at the end of the day, news is not entertainment. Just not. And you're not going to pay to be scared or to be informed. Like, it doesn't make sense to me as a streaming platform because of the nature of news habit. News habit, I think for a vast majority of Americans, given the ratings, is very event driven. Something happened, you go check the news. If you look at the daily viewership of like a CNN or an MSNBC, it's pathetic. It's a few million people.
Yeah, and probably less in a lot of the shows. I think it's in the hundreds of thousands for a lot of these shows. But the real point is CNN missed the ball on this so badly. There's no shortage of getting exclusive news. Like CNN Plus, there's no reason to sign up for it when you can get news on Twitter, newsletters, podcasts, the New York Times Daily, obviously all the cable shows. There's an endless number of places to get news. The reason why ESPN Plus works, live rights. So if you wanted to watch the Masters over the weekend, ESPN Plus was playing it all day. So that's a reason to pay the $5.99. You want to watch bowl games. A lot of the bowl games were exclusive to ESPN Plus. And that's the big difference, that there's clearly a demand for those things. There's no demand for just another place to get news. I mean, I think everyone's sick of news mostly. Like, I don't watch cable news. I'll watch Bloomberg. I don't watch cable news. Like, when's the last time you've watched like MSNBC or CNN at length?
Yeah, never. I mean, I literally, as soon as I see those logos, I run from them. I don't want to see any of those news channels. They're, the whole notion of breaking news to me is comical. They're all permanently on breaking news, every news network. How is there breaking news all day, every day? There just isn't.
Yep.
There just isn't. And what at the end of the day, it's completely driven by fear. That is what cable news is really, really good at. And it's mind-boggling to me, like, Fox News is still so successful because at the end of the day, it makes people angry.
I think there's a reason why Fox News is successful. There's a shortage of places to have that viewpoint, and that viewpoint is half the country.
Yeah.
It's a shortage of places to be super conservative, anti-everything liberal, anti-everything Hollywood. All these people are just thumbing their nose at us. We're all the morons. Like, screw these people. You don't find a lot of places like that.
So I get that. But even the emotion that it evokes is actual only anger, right? It doesn't, like, how do people wake up and want to watch something that gets them fucking pissed.
Because
Literally, what Fox News does is just make you mad, right?
I
It
think
makes
that's the average person's state of mind. They don't like their circumstances. So this fuels them like, this is why I don't have a job. Those damn immigrants are coming in. This is why I'm not getting promoted. This is why I can't afford my
gas
mortgage
is so
anymore.
high. Yeah,
Yeah. So it gives you an outlet to blame someone.
that's wild. Because I look at those things and I'm like, geez, why would you want to deal with that? It just seems like such a tough place to kind of start your day with. I mean, literally, people are waking up in the morning, having a cup of coffee, watching Fox News, and they start their day. I'm fucking hating everybody.
Yeah. Like if I wake up in the morning because I want to see what the other side is talking about. So I'll scroll through Clay Travis's tweets. Without a doubt, everything's negative.
Yeah.
Like, can you believe Biden did this? Can you believe Disney's doing this? Can you believe China's doing this? Why isn't the NBA standing up for that? Nothing is positive.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe one thing positive for Fox News is that Arizona iced tea is still only 99 cents. Everything has gone up except for Arizona iced tea. Actually, Menlo Club over its 9 years is still only $60 a month. All of our shoes at New Republic, we dropped the prices. So us and Arizona iced tea have not raised prices. But the big news is that they are still 99 cents, and it was 99 cents 30 years ago.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So they're
right?
just happy to be less profitable.
That's all it is. They are committed. I think they realize that's their kind of shtick, and they are just comfortable making less money. And I guess they were.
Yeah, that's the only way. If you were 20 years ago, 99 cents, you have to be more expensive. Inflation is 2 to 3%, even outside. Obviously, now it's crazy, but I mean, it probably should be a $7 drink at this point.
And what's crazy is it is still a privately owned business by the founder.
Yeah, he's 70 years old. He's 6'8".
Yeah.
He decided to put that as a part of his bio.
I mean, 6'8" is big.
Yeah, it's a tall dude.
They sell around 1 billion 99-cent cans a year, which makes up about 25% of its revenue. So it's
good for him. He's basically like, look, I've made all my money. I'm riding out this 99 cents till we go to business.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, to see these like legacy businesses still kind of thriving, still kind of figuring it out. And I mean, props to them. This is a pretty phenomenal story. It's a great article in the LA Times if you want to read it. Just talks about him. His 2 sons are now involved in the business, and just talking about their entire business is just fascinating. And beverage is one of those markets that is just so difficult to crack. And 30 years later, I remember vividly when Arizona iced tea kind of became popular. And, it was like really in high school for us when I started seeing the brand. And it's crazy that like all these years later, it's still cranking, doing billions of dollars of revenue.
Good for them.
Yeah, fascinating. See, positive news. There's good news. Here's the thing. I actually think, when I watch Bloomberg and CNBC a lot, they do news also. There's stuff that's negative. If something happens in the economy that's not positive, they share it. But like, so much of their content is actually like, we're bringing on the CEO of Shopify to talk about the future of X. And it's interesting. And it's not negative. It's not sensational news. It's just interesting content. I think there is room for people want to read interesting things. People want to watch interesting things. If you look at like, my only counter to that, when you look at what people are watching on Netflix, it's either murder or scammers.
Scammers
or sex.
Huge right now.
Murder, scammers, or sex. Like, like it's got to be some like reality show, like Love is Blind type vibe. Any scammer show, Inventing Anna, Dropout, We Crashed, whatever it is.
What are the Tinder swindler?
Tinder swindler. Like, so America loves scammers, they love sex, and they love murder.
Why do you think the scammer thing is so popular?
They're just fascinating stories. I think that's really what it is.
I was trying to think, like,
it's relatable, right? Because anyone can be a scammer.
No, or is it basically a way for someone who hasn't made money to be like, yeah, see, this is how you get rich. My moral ethos isn't compromised. Like, you feel better about yourself because you can walk away from these shows hating the protagonist. Basically, like, I can't believe they scam so much. They're so full of shit. I knew it. Every billionaire is a scammer. And I don't know. Is there some of that?
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I didn't think about it from that perspective. I'm sure that
it's the same way that everyone hates Bezos. Like, why do people hate Bezos? Because he's worth hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah. Well, Bezos is purely based on money, right? Like, that's why. And then, it's the reputation of, I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting, the point of
you want flaws in the billionaires to be like, see, these guys are pieces of shit.
Yes. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to money, people want to find a reason why not to like you. So you either cut corners, you're an asshole, you fucked your partner, you're a scammer. Like, because you
want an excuse of why you're not rich.
Yes. And so you find the flaw in the other person.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because like we said, there hasn't been a TV show, a movie about a billionaire founder that was celebrated.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because even Social Network tries to shit on Zuck.
Yeah. There just isn't. Like, no one's doing the...
Big Short just shit on the entire financial industry and all of Wall Street. Deservedly so.
Yeah.
But that is the plot line.
Yeah, no, there's not the rise of Jamie Dimon. No one's watching that.
Yeah, exactly. And if there's a crypto show, they're going to talk about a scam where like a hack happened. Not like, hey, there's this village in India that can finally pay for their like farming via digital payments. No, that's story.
That's the nature of content. Like they have the data to know that like we don't want to see that. We want to see everyone fucked.
Even the McDonald's, the founder, paints him in like he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's what Drum and I were talking on a couple episodes ago. Is like there isn't like the Mark Benioff story. Just like I'm sure he's probably a good guy and he did great things, but no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Reid Hoffman does not have a...
I mean, Bezos should have... I mean, now how popular he is or famous he is, someone should make a Bezos movie. But they'll make it as like... They'll make the Bezos movie into like, oh, he's marginalizing workers. He's... they're not going to say like, this guy started selling books and now literally does everything.
Yeah. And then they'll go into the affair. I mean, just...
they'll get into all that stuff.
Yeah. The problem is it's going to be very hard to show anyone in a truly positive light.
Yeah, everyone wants flawed characters.
Yeah. No one wants to find out that someone's perfect. Because that would be devastating to your own fragile ego.
Even Winning Time, the show on the Lakers. They make people look like shit.
They make every character they screw. Chick Hearn is a racist drunk, according to the show.
And Jerry West. Jerry West is like a philanderer. Like I mean, I've never heard that. I don't know.
Yeah, like every character is look bad on that show. It's unbelievable. It's an incredible show, but it's just like I get it. We know people are flawed, but you know what? Give us some fucking hope.
I got one. The Last Dance. That's because Michael Jordan
is untouchable.
Not only is he untouchable, he had final edit on everything.
Yeah.
And that's the only way he agreed to do it. The Last Dance is the one like heroic. Everyone walks away liking Michael Jordan more than he did before.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, look, if you're a billionaire listening and they're about to do a story on you,
just do it yourself.
Final edit. There's going to be a story about you, so you might as well control the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
big lesson of the day.
I guess it's easier in sports because people just want their sports figures to be heroes. Like
Yeah.
it's because it's so like fantasy. Like
Yeah.
there's so few people that get to play professional sports, but everyone has, not everyone, but a lot of people, most of us have played sports at one point and always fantasized about being that figure. At some point when you're 7 or 8, you have the image in your backyard, you're hitting the final shot or you're hitting the big home run. And I don't know, I think sports has as many flawed characters as corporate CEOs, but we give them all a pass.
Yeah. Well, because sports figures make us feel good.
Sure.
Right? Like sports.
With an emotional attachment. No one has an emotional attachment when the groceries show up from Amazon. No one gets this warm, fuzzy feeling about Bezos.
If the order is right, I get a warm, fuzzy feeling.
No, but you know what I mean. It's like you remember sitting with your friends watching big sports moments.
Yeah. Understood. I get it. All right, moving on. The other, it's just the WeWork story that never ends. Obviously, everyone's watching the show We Crashed. WeWork now wants to position themselves as a technology company, and looks like they're coming out with a SaaS software product to help non-WeWork customers kind of manage the logistics of a workforce. And it's actually a really interesting idea, and there's probably a need for that given how distributed workforces are. And it can be used for like booking conference rooms, coordinating flexible desk usage with hybrid workers, and analyzing which spaces are used the most. It's actually a really clever idea. It's just coming from WeWork. So I'm curious to see what type of adoption will be, because there's just skepticism about the company. But the idea in itself, if I were doing it, if I was them, I would have just spun this as a software company outside of the core business and raised money and called it something else. It's a great idea.
How do you not change the name?
Yeah.
The WeWork brand is so tarnished. No one thinks about it.
I don't know if it is. If you're like,
you think it's just a verb? Like WeWork equals shared spaces?
Yeah. Like even when some people say, I'm in one of those WeWork type places.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not even in WeWork. They're in like Regis. But
I'm coming from Century City. I had a meeting, and around 11:30 a.m. noon, it's typically slammed in that like pre-pandemic, that like corporate area, like Avenue of the Stars, Century Park.
Yeah.
Complete ghost town. No one's in the office.
No.
Well, I think that's crazy because those are most of the tenants are in the service industry in Century City. They're either lawyers, accountants, agents, financial managers, advisors. That industry, and I thought they would be the first to come back. There's no one there.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people cut office space, so that's a big part of it. So there may not be a place to come back to. Like in some of those businesses, we don't really know what vacancy looks like in those buildings yet, right? Like we're going to have to learn, in the near future, if once everyone does get back to work, or whatever getting back to work looks like, what does that look like? Because I think that'll affect how people plan for the future.
Over 2 years into this pandemic, it's seemingly we're on the better side of it. I mean, knock on wood. But for the most part, there's a very select few people who have chosen not to restart their life. For the most part, everyone's has somewhat back to normal. Maybe not at the number of things they used to do, but everyone's still going to dinners, going out, meeting people. Masks are effectively gone in LA, and office space is still empty. I expect, obviously, where we are in mid-city, I'm not shocked that, because it's smaller businesses like ours, and you have to get a little more nimble when times get, you just have to be nimble. But those companies not having people back, I'm shocked.
Yeah. It is wild. I don't know. I'm not too sure. If you just look, it's also spring break. Maybe that was the reason.
Maybe. And Passover is coming
Yeah.
up. That
Wait,
could be-
speaking of that, thousands of years ago when these religions were being created, the leaders of these religions, did they ever talk? Because Ramadan, Passover, Easter.
So Ramadan's not apples to apples because it keeps changing. So if 1 year like it keeps changing, like I think backwards. So right
Okay.
now it's in April.
Yeah.
In like 7 years, it's going to be November or
Okay.
October.
So it's on a different, not on a set calendar.
No, it's on a set calendar. It moves every year.
I mean, the amount of religious holidays happening this week is insane. This is the Super Bowl of religion.
Yeah.
And it coincides. What?
We need one. The Hindus need one. What do we got this week?
I'm sure we got something. We got weekly holidays.
No, but
in
we need to be
Hinduism.
blockbuster. Passover and Easter and Ramadan are blockbuster.
Yeah, those are Super Bowls for their
Yeah.
respective religions. They're like the defining moments types of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, it's a big weekend coming up. Like, a lot of celebration. Curious to see, like, and then of course Coachella. I don't think that affects anyone at Coachella, but
No,
it does
definitely
fall
doesn't.
during the same time frame.
I don't think anyone at Coachella is observing anything religious for those 3-4 days.
Yeah, there's definitely none of that going on there.
The last tech thing, because we're just wrapping up tech.
Yeah.
A list came out yesterday that's
Oh yeah.
really followed like the Bible in technology. It's called the Midas List.
Yeah.
So every year they come out with the best investors in technology in the world. And given where the economy has gone globally, technology is the biggest sector in the world. That's that's what's creating the amount of value that's been unlocked in the last 20 years, 25 years is unmatched to any industry. So the Midas List came out yesterday, and one of my best friends who we've talked about on this pod, Neil Mehta, is top 10 in the world.
Top 10 is insane.
And like he's ahead of Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel's
wild.
10, he's 9.
That's very hot.
And if you look at
he's
some
ahead
of
of
the-
some big names.
If you look at the names that are like 10 through 20, it's like absolute legends.
Yeah. It's
So
crazy.
congratulations to Neil.
Yeah,
Green
congratulations.
Oaks.
I mean, Bill Gurley is 24.
Yeah, super pumped.
Yeah.
Neil needs a show.
Yeah, Neil does need a show. Maybe it's the coupon.
Yeah, maybe.
Uh,
But pretty insane. Top 10 in the world.
that is insane. And especially ahead of someone like Peter Thiel, which is insane. Even
And,
more.
and it's global investors. There's people in Asia. There's people all over that are on this list. It's not like it's confined to Silicon Valley in San Francisco.
Yeah, and the number one was Chris Dixon from Andreessen Horowitz.
Yep.
And the notable deal for his was obviously Coinbase and obviously all his Web3 stuff, which it's interesting just to see the dynamic of the list and how it's like, you know, I'm sure it was more like a software company in years, and now it's a crypto guy is number one.
And the crazy thing is, if you look at 1 through 10 on the list, Neil's like 13 years at the minimum younger than everyone.
Yeah.
They're all in
He's
their
going to be
50s.
on the list for a long time.
Yeah, so good for him.
Oh, shout out to Hans Tung from GGV, number 6. Damn.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
Yeah, he's another good friend. That's awesome. This is great. What a list. Congratulations, Neil. And I'm sure there's a lot more hits in that portfolio.
For sure.
Now on to the blockbuster news of the day. I'm sure if you have a phone, you saw the canoodling pics of Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian, which it appears to be at a John and Vinny's. Is that confirmed?
You're talking about the Instagram pic
The Instagram
from the
pic.
weekend. That it looked like John and Vinny's. I don't think it's been confirmed. I'm like 99% sure that's John and Vinny's.
Okay, so they stepped out again, Kim and Pete Davidson in West Hollywood, and they went to dinner for like, I don't know, the second or third time with Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. What a table. What a table. I mean, can you believe Pete Davidson, 28-year-old comedian, first is dating Kim Kardashian, and then I'm sure Kim and Jeff are close, and they're in that power
Or
Hollywood
Kim
circle.
and Lauren.
Yeah, maybe Kim and Lauren are close. And I mean, just insane. What is Pete Davidson thinking? He's like, my girl is Kim Kardashian, and I'm having dinner with Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. And they went to AOC.
I saw that. So interesting choice of restaurant. I
Yeah.
used to live across the street from AOC, or a couple blocks down.
Yeah, I mean, what's
It's
Jeff eating
fine.
there? It's like tapas.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, not a place I'm like craving for ever.
Yeah,
Good brunch.
Yeah, brunch is good, but you know, they didn't go for brunch.
And it's interesting when a foursome like this steps out, there's clearly an intention. They can have A, O, and C come to Jeff Bezos' house and make them dinner.
Yeah.
So what's the intention? Just be like, you think, I'm of the view Bezos is just along for the ride and Sanchez is calling the shots. Like, this is clearly a planned picture that they were going to get from paparazzi. I'm sure I've been to AOC a million times. There's never paparazzi there.
Well, as soon as they walk in the door, everyone's texting everyone, right? Like,
okay, so waiter tips off paparazzi.
Yeah.
But you can go out the back there too. So they made this in a moment.
Yeah.
What are they trying to achieve? That's the back angle I'm trying to figure out. Lauren Sanchez is like, Pete Davidson and Kim are the biggest couple in the world right now.
I don't think it's Lauren Sanchez. I think it's Kris Jenner. To put Pete in the same conversation as Jeff Bezos.
I mean, has anyone had a better year than Pete Davidson? From the celebrities world?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to beat. He's pretty hot.
I mean, he went from
Jack Harlow?
I mean, he's not dating Kim Kardashian. Maybe if Jack Harlow starts dating Addison Rae, and then who do they go to dinner with? That's not the same.
No. Addison Rae's not on the same planet as Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian's it.
Yeah, I mean, geez, it's pretty insane. Why'd they choose AOC?
That is really the big question.
I know they wanted
maybe because they're like, it's light bites, it's tapas, no one's actually eating. Jeff Bezos ain't eating.
I think Bezos is eating a ton. I was listening to a Rogan episode and someone was on, and obviously Joe Rogan is like super into fitness and all this stuff. And the question was asked, is he on steroids? And he's like 150% chance he's on HGH. He's like, at that age, you just can't transform from, this is not like breaking news, but it was just funny to hear him like talk about it.
I actually heard that.
He's absolutely shredded.
Yeah. Dope. I like it. I like that shredded look for him.
Yeah. They must have a busy summer plan. What are the Bezos and Sanchez odds there at Coachella? I think pretty high. I think they're at Bootsy Revolve Fest.
I don't know if they'll hit the parties, but like they probably are.
I don't think they're going on the grounds. I don't think they're going on the grounds. I bet
you they're like friends with Harry Styles. I bet you Jeff Bezos is friends with Harry Styles, brings his kids, they watch Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, and go home.
I think we see Bezos this weekend.
I'm
predicting he's going to be at the Bootsy Revolve Fest.
Wow.
I mean, he was at the H-Wood Revolve Super Bowl party.
Yeah, he might like that combo.
He liked those brands. He liked the brands.
He likes those brands. He loves those brands. Oh my God, that would be so good. All right, well, let's move on to some not so pleasant news. The LA Times reported today that in LA, 17 LA gangs have sent out crews to follow and rob LA's mega rich. So this is like an internal report released from the LAPD talking about what's actually happening on the streets of LA with carjackings and theft and home invasions and things of that nature. So It's pretty scary. It's really scary. It's this article is kind of flying all over LA because obviously it affects all of its residents. Um, I'm pretty shocked at. I just don't know what the solution here is. Right? Like, so they released this. What are they
So
doing about it?
I'm less shocked about the news. I mean, there's no secret. If you're wearing luxury stuff, you're immediately a target. We've been talking about this for 12 to 18 months. I think the only thing they've like kind of uncovered, which we could have kind of surmised, was that it's just a more coordinated operation of people going into these neighborhoods. That's it, right?
So there's been 221 follow home robberies in just 4 months. That's insane. That if you assume it's 4 months with 120 days, it's basically two a day.
It's scary. But LA's a big city, so I mean, it's not like there's 12 million people here.
Yeah, but it's not happening in other parts. Very specific parts of town is it happening.
I think home invasions is universal. I don't think it matters where you live. I think home invasions are happening. I think what you're referring to.
Why are you stealing stealing from someone's house if they live in a $500,000 house? You're not. It is not.
Maybe not. I mean, where's a $500,000 house in LA? Even the Valley, its starting point is $1 million.
There's probably some deep pockets of the Valley.
Deep, okay, but I'm saying the vast majority of the houses in San Fernando Valley are over $1 million.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's very concentrated, obviously, on our side of town.
Okay.
Either way, curious
Stay
to
safe.
see how LAPD and how the city, like, how do you fix this, right? Like, it's not an easy thing because they are very organized and they clearly have like a strategy here. So,
And if you don't prosecute, what's the downside?
yeah, you might
Because
as well.
right now, as the way the district attorney's office and Gascon are operating, as long as it doesn't become violent, there's zero downside.
Yeah.
And interesting news as of yesterday, Caruso is in a dead heat with Karen Bass in polling for LA mayor. And when he announced, he was significantly behind. And I think we're all pretty pro Caruso and want him to have the gig. And I'm impressed he closed the gap in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, and that just tells you he's out there, he's speaking to the community. Crime fucking matters. Nothing else matters right now except your safety. You could throw out everything else out the window. If you do not feel safe, doesn't matter. The city's in a bad space. And I think every conversation you hear when you're talking to locals is around crime or homelessness. Dude, I was driving on the freeway on the 101. I drive every single day to come downtown. I could not believe how many people are walking on the freeway.
I heard that from someone the other day. That's insane.
It's like 3rd Street Promenade on the freeway right now.
Where are they walking? I don't drive. I don't go on the freeway.
Oh, yeah. But I'm telling you, dude, literally on the side, in the middle aisles, walking across. It is crazy. I was trying to exit off the exit where our warehouse is. Literally someone crossing the freaking thing, the exit sign, a homeless person, because they were just going back to the area that they kind of reside in. I mean, it's obviously very sad because I don't know like how the city's going to handle this because there's so many people. It's not like one isolated person. Is
it that many people? I kind of want to drive on the 101.
It's crazy.
101 by where? Like by downtown?
101 between like after the 110.
Okay, after the 110.
Yeah.
So it's like downtown proper.
Yeah, downtown proper, all the way to like Commerce, Vernon area. There's just people everywhere.
It's
crazy. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. Speaking of crazy, Philadelphia has reinstated indoor mask mandates because they are seeing a rise in cases. So I think it's like a week or two that they're doing this for. Um, but it's interesting that they felt that it was that necessary to go back into that part of kind of where we are in COVID land. Um, I'm curious to see if any other city reacts this way. Um, Airplane mask mandates have been extended now till May 3rd. They were supposed to end. Um, is this kind of driven by a few uptick in cases? Is it driven by what's happening in China? Like, I'm curious. I mean, like, given the level of cases, like, I mean, it's not like where we were a year or two ago. So I don't know. Interesting to see if, I mean, especially we're going back, the weather's changing to a lot of these cities, especially in the Midwest and East Coast. Like, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I think, and you have to see a dramatic increase in deaths and hospitalizations to kind of rewind some of the, COVID, or try to reinstate some of the COVID policies, because I just don't think people are going back.
Yeah. So crazy. I mean, yeah.
I mean, even vaccine mandates are rolling off.
Yeah, there's no indoor vaccine in LA anymore. So
New York doesn't.
Yeah.
That's why Kyrie can play.
Wild. Wild. All right. Well, that's all we got. You have anything else on it?
I think we're good. Do we have any shout outs?
We have a shout out. It's a very special friend's 50th birthday.
Wow. Happy 50th. Who is it?
It's our man Gilly from Revolve. First of all, he's not 50. I was just fucking with him on that. But his buddy Rich let us know that today is Gil's birthday. So a big happy birthday. He's a good friend. And I'm sure we'll see him this weekend in his rarest form.
What hour does the shirt come off? His shirt's definitely coming off this weekend.
I don't know if he's been working out like that.
I feel, by the time indoor nighttime, it gets hot inside.
I don't know. I don't know if Gil's got
open button up.
Maybe an open button up. I don't know if he's got shirtless bod.
Plays a lot of soccer. I don't know. Maybe he does.
I'm calling.
He posts those eggs he eats every day. Those hard-boiled eggs.
Okay. Well, I'm calling bullshit on no shirt off. But
okay.
Happy birthday, Gil. I'm sure you'll celebrate big this weekend. All right, happy everyone. Birthday. We will see you tomorrow and our last episode before Coachella. Everyone's big weekend coming up. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Peace.